Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Shawn. Today, I just wanted to kind of read a couple of devotionals to you. And, when I look at artificial intelligence and some of the things happening with AI, both in its incredible usefulness for certain things, and then you kind of look at what it could be if powerful people in powerful places decided to have some nefarious ideas on how to use this tool. It really reminds me a lot of the internet. I was a young man when the internet really became more mainstream, so I was in college around the year 2000, 2001, and that's when high-speed internet was just starting to become a thing. It was becoming a little more common for people to have a computer in their home. And, it was some of the things we were doing with it were incredible for the time, and it was hard to imagine. We couldn't have conceived how the internet is now. We couldn't have conceived that it would be in a little pane of glass that we hold in our hand and it be this fast. And it's wild, right? And so I feel like right now we're dealing with the dial-up version of AI, which is really scary considering just how advanced it is. So in 2019, I wrote this devotional, and I'm starting to go through it and make short videos here. And I have two chapters here, and neither one of them are very long. They're just two devotionals. Chapters 13 and 14, if you have a copy of the book. 13 is titled Genetic Modification and Artificial Intelligence in the Last Days. And then chapter 14 is The Mark of the Beast. And these two kind of go hand in hand. Now, in 2019, when I'm writing this, I'm having some ideas about how we'll see genetic manipulation and artificial intelligence being used and playing a huge role in the end of days. But when I thought about artificial intelligence at this time, I never imagined that it would be like what it is. I think about the image of the beast and how the false prophet will give it life and it'll talk. And, that was kind of hard to really understand in 2019. But thinking about it today, an AI God that responds, that people talk to, that does not seem far-fetched. I could see that tomorrow, right? Just ChatGPT is incredibly advanced. It's some of the really useful things it can do and how it responds. And I'm thinking 5-10 years from now, it's going to be unbelievable. What AI is doing. And I really see the enslavement of humanity coming. I mean, the Matrix, all of these wild ideas are now possible. And with as evil and nefarious as the people who are in positions of power are, there's no chance they don't try to use this to their advantage. That's a long introduction. Can I just read these devotionals to you and just let you think about this on your own? So the first one comes out of chapter 13 of my book, 30-Day Devotional, The End of Days. Genetic Modification and Artificial Intelligence in the Last Days. Allow me to read this to you quickly. Here's what it says. To some, the idea of genetically modified humans might seem completely outlandish, but to those of us who have studied in depth the days of Noah and are paying attention to current trends, this has been a long time coming. Our media and technology industries continue to report and boast about developments in genetics. Even more so, they are demonstrating their ability to not only genetically modify humans, but to merge them with artificial intelligence. These are some interesting, albeit scary, times we are living in. I've told my podcast listeners for years, in your lifetime, you're going to see non-human individuals walking around. I'm referring to people who have either been genetically altered from God's original design, or people who have merged physically with some kind of artificial intelligence. intelligence. Of course, at the times I'm writing this, again, I had no idea just how crazy artificial intelligence was going to get. Honestly, we shouldn't be shocked by this concept. After all, we have genetically modified animals, plants, and food, which is now part of everyday life. And it has been this way for many years. In fact, if you're going to try to eat clean, natural, unaltered, non-GMO food here in the United States, then you're going to have to go to a health specialty market, and it's going to be expensive. Why? Because there just isn't much food left in the food supply which hasn't been tampered with. Not only is society screaming to us that this is coming, but the scriptures also tell us to be expecting this. The prophet Daniel, when describing the coming world kingdoms, tells us something very interesting about the last kingdom. And whereas thou saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave to one another, as iron is not mixed with clay. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. I don't know about you, but this sounds like manipulation of a human being. It could be in the form of genetic modification, or maybe even the merging of man with artificial intelligence. Either way, Daniel tells us it's not going to go well, and they will not cleave to one another. Another interesting passage which lends itself to this thinking comes from the Apocrypha, which was included in the King James Bible from 1611 through most of the 1800s, before being suspiciously removed. I have an old King James Bible in my library from the 1800s. It once belonged to a church in New York, and as did most Bibles from this time, it has the apocryphal text included in it. By the way, please note, if I can lift this thing, the Bible that I'm talking about, if you're watching the YouTube video, in this book is this giant thing right here from the 1800s, belonged to an old Baptist church in New York City. It is beautiful, and it weighs a brick. And, of course, it has the Apocrypha. So a lot of times, if I'm talking about this subject to people in person, I go grab this bad boy from the 1800s, and I say, look, I'm not just saying this stuff to say it. Here's a Bible that's really, really old. And here's the text that I'm talking about right there. And it was available. Big Bibles like this were basically in the churches because not everyone in the 1800s necessarily had a Bible to carry around in their hands. And so you'd have them at the church. And so the congregation had access to this stuff. Anyways, moving on. The apocryphal book that I'm referring to in the devotional here is from 2nd Esdras, a book filled with very interesting prophetical text. However, there is one particular verse which always jumps out at me and causes me to pause and think. So if we go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 5, verse 8, here's what it says. There shall be confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and wild beasts shall change their places. And menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Also in 2nd Esdras we read, and the children of a year old shall speak with their voices, and the women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. Women shall bring forth monsters. Children will live and be born as early as 3 months and will talk. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years, or maybe even sooner, we see it normalized for parents to have their babies genetically altered before birth. Society may spin it as a good thing and a way for children to be born free of disease. Parents will try to pick what color eyes their children would have, or how tall, intelligent, athletic, or artistic they might be. However, if we take the time to study what happened during the days of Noah, if we study the apocryphal text, then we will see tampering with God's creation leads to horrific events followed by great judgment. I believe genetic modification and artificial intelligence will play a huge role in these last days. We better pay attention to these trends. Not only pay attention, but more importantly, avoid being part of it. May God give us wisdom and have mercy on our souls. So that's kind of the way I was thinking about it in 2019. But to be fair, in 2019, I was thinking more along the lines of genetic modification than I was artificial intelligence. 6 years ago, I couldn't really conceive what's happened in the last 24 months where artificial intelligence is concerned. It's incredible how it went from a concept to becoming part of everyday life. Every industry, every business is now adopting it or being left, or if they don't, they'll be left behind for sure. It's just wild to see. So while I had some ideas that it was going to play a role, I did not see it being the way it is. That is for sure. And this is why I'm saying, just like when the internet first came on the scene, it was hard to it would be impossible to conceive how the internet has changed the world today, right? So if we go back to, again, AOL chat and dial up, and you go to a web page and you go wash the dishes because that's how long it's going to be before it arrives, right? Like in that time, which wasn't that long ago, it would be inconceivable how the internet is used now, like just unthinkable. And so I think that's how it's going to be with artificial intelligence. And I'm hoping this devotional and these videos and things like that is going to really be beneficial to some people in a few years down the road when this is actually happening. And I've told you in advance, not because of my own wisdom or prophetic utterances or anything, but because God's word has warned us. And so I'm praying this will benefit some people. We can't read the one we just read without reading the next one. It's not quite as long. This one will be much shorter, but they kind of go hand in hand, because I really think the mark of the beast and the image of the beast, artificial intelligence, I really think these things are really going to be tied together. And let me just tell you, we live in a world where it's a generation of human beings ready to embrace an AI, image of the beast, God thing, and they're ready to do it right now. Trust me, they're longing for some type of interaction with wisdom, perceived wisdom, right, where they can ask a question and get an instant answer from something that has access to every nugget of information in the world, right? To them, it'll be like God. And so this is coming. Let's have a read real quick here. When it comes to the mark of the beast described in the book of Revelation, there have been a lot of opinions and thoughts shared by prophecy lovers throughout the ages. It's no different today, and I certainly have some interesting thoughts on the subject, especially considering the world that we are living in today. A world where people at this very moment in history are getting microchips in their hands and soon in their heads. We are told in the book of Revelation the false prophet will come on the scene, and he will cause many to make an image to the beast and will worship this image. They will also get his mark in their hand or their foreheads. Without this mark, they cannot buy or sell. Consider Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 through 17, which says, "And he curses all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he have the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." And by the way, we learned in 2020 that with just a little bit of fear and propaganda and some talking heads on the TV, that the average person, even in America, is more than willing to comply with something like this when push comes to shove. We didn't have the mark of the beast in the 2020, but we sure had the mask of the beast. Remember this? Remember this? How you couldn't go to work unless you had it on. You couldn't go to the grocery store and buy or sell or do commerce unless you put a diaper on your face. Do you remember this? There are still people who haven't stopped wearing it. I say all that to say, with a little pressure, a little war, a little economic problems, a little fear, a little disease, people will be more than happy to line up and get a chip in their hand or in their forehead in order to be able to buy or sell. And we've seen it demonstrated, and the people in power have seen it demonstrated that, yeah, society will do it. We just give them a little bit of fear and tell them they have to, they'll do it. Continuing on. Many, including myself, believe this is likely twofold. You have an allegiance to the beast system, and there is a microchip of some sort associated with the mark. This mark holds all your financials and maybe even personal information. This makes perfect sense, and is an effective way to control the population. If you step out of line, those in power could simply turn off your accounts via the microchip, making it very difficult for survival. Same goes for those who refuse to take the mark. They would essentially be alienated from society and unable to take part in commerce. Therein lies the temptation. It'll be very difficult to refuse the mark when you or the people you love are hungry or in need. We must settle this in our hearts now. Should this time come upon us, we must have already decided, no matter what, we will not take the mark. Scripture makes it very clear that those who take the mark will be lost forever. There will be no salvation, no redemption for those who have worshipped the image of the beast and taken his mark. They will be tormented for all eternity, according to Revelation chapter 14, verse 11, which says, "And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name." Because there is no salvation or mercy found for those who have taken the mark, I am therefore led to believe there is more than just a chip and an allegiance to the beast involved. It could be there is also genetic alteration component to the mark. We know from reading the ancient Dead Sea Scrolls, such as the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees and others, there was no salvation available for the Nephilim. These Nephilim, or giants, came to be on the earth through an incident wherein the Watchers, the sons of God, left their heavenly estate, had sexual relationships with earthly women. To understand this more, you need to start by studying Genesis chapter 6, and I would also recommend studying 2 Peter and the book of Jude. Jude chapter 1 verse 6 says, "And the angels, which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto judgment, the great day." Here's the devotional. Open up your hearts. We are living in some very interesting and strange times, and it's possible God has chosen us to be the generation who would see these very things develop. But more importantly, see the return of our Messiah and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Let us not only prepare to meet him, but let us prepare our hearts and minds to deal with these strange developments which are quickly coming upon the earth. And that, my friends, is the end of the devotional. Obviously, we're just scratching the surface with these conversations, which is what you do in a devotional type of setting. We could talk about this for hours, and I suspect as time moves and marches forward, we'll be talking about this subject more and more. But there's just a little bit to kind of get you started and to give you something to think about. By the way, you can pick up these books on Amazon. They're very, very inexpensive. Thank you to those of you who support this mission of truth, the gospel, these kind of messages. All of this cannot go forth out to the world without your support. So please consider supporting it. scriptureandprophecy.com. There's a donate support tab at the top. Post office box if you prefer snail mail. All of that is there for you. Peace and grace be with all of you. And until next time, God bless.